Thank you so much for yesterday. I wanted to start by saying that I truly appreciated talking to people before and after the speech yesterday. So I was going to make today a little interactive because it's 40 minutes, it's actually 30 minutes. And rather than go through slides, I wanted to share in a little more detail some of what I discussed yesterday. I was planning to walk around, but I was told we are recording a video, so I'm not going to move from here. So that part is easy. And then the other part is that, gracias. Um, as far as the translation is concerned, there is no translator today for English, but I wanted to open this up. So yesterday, when I talked, I started talking to a lot of people, and a lot of people told me that, in Ecuador, it's really difficult for consumers to accept digital. Like the merchant doesn't want to accept digital, things along those lines. And I can tell you that before the pandemic, even people in America used to say that old people are not going to touch digital. But what happened today? You have young people, you have old people, they're all using digital devices. They don't want to use cash. They want to use a phone to pay. They don't mind being tracked. It's all changed dramatically. It's made a difference, and I think that is the big change we are going to see in this industry as well. So when you take this idea even further, I take a look at three types of brands. I look at food brands like McDonald's or Chick-fil-A. McDonald's has an app. The app allows you to order on the app. McDonald's prefers that you put money on the app because they don't want you to take out cards and all of that. They want you to pay on your app. That's actually very smart because McDonald's is educating our consumer. We don't need to worry about educating that consumer. And I think that is something that is very important. You look at airlines, buying a ticket. There's a few people I looked at in this room. You probably don't remember the days of paper tickets. It's a long time ago, but there were these tickets, they were paper tickets, and if you lost your paper ticket, you could not fly. Now it's all digital. And when you wanted to go from one city to another, you actually had to talk to a travel agent who would book your travel, and it was very complicated. And nobody thought that that industry would change. But that industry has changed so dramatically that you don't need. In fact, think of it, Uber, Lyft, all these apps, we do them on the phone. It's simple. And the airlines do a fantastic job of putting everything on their phone. Now, I'll tell you one problem that airlines have an innovation lab. I do a lot of work with Delta Airlines, and I get to see some of what Delta is thinking about the future. And one of the things Delta says is, the phone is disruptive. Why is the phone disruptive? Because, we have our ticket on the phone, we scan the ticket. But the problem is, you and I, we are on the phone, we're talking. She's the gate agent. We walk up to her, and she's like, put your ticket. Then we put the ticket down. We're slowing the line down. It's not smart. So the future, what they're doing is, you walk in, they take a picture. The picture recognizes you, and the picture says, it is you, and Samantha, you're on the plane. And that's basically how this works. Now, if you and I are sitting on a plane, and you were sitting in 10C, and I was sitting in 20D, and we meet each other, we want to sit together. Well, technically, we're supposed to tell the airline that we're moving seats. In the future, we can move a seat, and what the airline is planning to do is track us and see who's sitting where, what they are doing, things along those lines. But why I bring this up is because transportation is also being taken over by other companies that are educating the consumer we serve to take things further. But I talked about security yesterday, that we have an image, the image recognizes us, like our picture is unique to us. Our eyes are our own. Our touch, our voice, our pattern, all that is recognizable. And so, more and more of us, we're going to feel like I am safe. I don't need to worry about it. And we walk through. But what is going to happen is, as brands, if you're a consumer goods brand needs to tell people that I am tracking you. Privacy policy is very important, that I'm going to track you so I can serve you better. And even if your law says, oh, you don't need to tell the customer that you're tracking them, it's always good to tell someone that I'm tracking you so I can serve you better. And I think this is part of what needs to be done as you take things further. Yesterday, when I talked about the birds, I want to tell you the inside story of what happened with me and the birds. In 2005, I met a company in the United States. It's called Duncraft. It's a bird company. They sell seed and food. And I wanted to buy that company. And I became a partner with the lady whose dad owned the company, and we were going to buy the company and run the company together. But the minute the elderly gentleman told his family he's going to retire, all of a sudden 5 other kids showed up. So I never went down that route. But what I did is I wanted to learn about birds. And he sent me bird feeders. And the bird feeders, they sat in my garage. Then I hung them. I took the seed, like I told, I threw the seed at the birds. No birds came. But the birds came because, number one, they felt safe. And one big brand promise we have to remember, whether you're B2B or you're B2C, that you have to have a brand that people trust. And the 3 ways you can make your brand stand out is, number one, word of mouth. Hey, my friend told me that they like it. And that is what needs to be leveraged. That needs to be written out. The second way a brand stands out is expertise. You're the expert. You know. Last night, I got to meet some people who sell insurance. I got to meet some people that sell automotive parts. Today, I met a young lady that sells baked goods, things along those lines. Someone is in cybersecurity. What you want to do is you want to establish yourself as an expert. And the way you take this is you write the article, you write up the expertise, you take pictures, you put useful information out there, because the idea ultimately is you're educating the customer. And that customer may not buy from you today, but what you're doing is you're continuing to build up upon that. Third big part about branding is friction. You don't like to work with somebody when there is a lot of friction, because friction makes it hard. So what you now want to do is you want to reduce friction as much as possible. So this is, a lot of people say ease of use, customer experience. What does that mean? So 4 years ago, I started working with a bank. Actually, it's a credit union. A credit union is like a bank, but it's member owned. And this credit union said, we want to become better, cheaper, and faster. And I said, let's define it. So in the first year, we decided we're going to make things faster. We looked at all our forms and we said, we want to make sure that it takes less than 10 minutes to fill up every form. Now, in your business, maybe it should be less than 3 minutes. Maybe in the cybersecurity business, it should be less than 90 minutes. It depends on your industry. So one, come up with the goal of simplifying things as much as possible. The second aspect to take things further, so the first one was time, reduce. The second aspect is simplicity. Simplicity means that when I'm filling out a form, I shouldn't have to go and say, Alejandra, can you help me with this? Alejandra, can you help me with this? I want to reduce dependence on people. But then what I also want to do is I want to realize that when I'm talking to my friend Alejandra, I'm going to go to her and say, what were the questions that people are asking? So do you know a brand called American Eagle? American Eagle, I got a chance to work with them in 2000. I made one mistake. The first day I went to American Eagle, I wore a tie. When I walked in, the CTO cut my tie with a pair of scissors. He just cut it off. And I was crushed, but I learned a lot from that brand. But every day, American Eagle looks at search and sees what are the words people are searching on that they are not answering. Because if somebody is asking a question in a particular way, they want to get the answer to that question. So the key here again is try to simplify things as much as possible so we don't need help taking it further. So then the third part is, how do you build a better experience? A better experience is based on anticipation. Like I told you yesterday, I go to the ATM now, I put my card in, and my machine tells me, hi Sundeep, you still want $60. I like that. I don't want a receipt at the end. They don't ask me about that. I just walk away. So the thing is, when you build a relationship with your consumer, I think that part is very important. Now, surveying your customer is very, very important, right? Because if you don't stay in touch with your customer, you're going to soon realize that they started doing something else. But I have seen surveys that are really long. But why are they long? Because we have 5, 6, 10 departments at our companies. Every department says, oh, I want to see how admissions is doing. I want to see how fees is doing. I want to see how curriculum is doing. Everybody wants to be evaluated. The poor customer looks at that and says, oh my God, this is long. So I'll give you a real example. Holiday Inn. If you get a survey from Holiday Inn, they ask you lots and lots of questions. It takes 12 minutes to answer the survey. They even ask me what I think about the bar of soap. What do I think about the tap? They're asking me all these questions. So how many people respond to a long survey? Very few. Now, Delta Airlines, when you call them up, they say, would you stay on the call at the end to answer a one-question survey? And the one-question survey is very simple. And the survey goes like that. It says, would you hire the last person you spoke to if you owned a customer service business? 5, yes. 1, no. What is the response rate for that? Above 85%. But what that is doing is, it's a trick. The trick is, I'm staying in touch with you. You want to stay in touch with your customers as much as possible. So I told you yesterday that I started working with 2 brands in 1999. One, I got to launch AnnTaylor.com, women's clothing. And one, I got to launch a men's clothing company. On the women's clothing company, I'll tell you, it was very, very scary. Because most men know primary colors. We know red, white, black, blue. That's it. When I go to those meetings, they're talking about teal, fuchsia. I don't know what those are. And again, to the young people who are smiling in the room, in 1999, I could not go to Google and say, hey, Google, what is teal? So I called my Google, my wife, and I would ask her up, and she would say bluish, pinkish, purplish. And it went on and on. But what I did was I got to learn the fashion aspect. So what we decided to do is, with a woman, the worst thing that can happen is you come and your friend shows up in the exact same outfit. It's the end of the world, right? It's finished. So what we started doing was we said, how do we personalize it? How do we make a wardrobe? How do we tell you that we're shipping a box to your house? We've got 3 items. Would you like this, this, or this? So we started doing that. So then I started working with a men's clothing company. And in the men's clothing company, what happened was we used to sell a shirt with your initials written on the sleeve. We used to sell it for $19.99. And that shirt, retail, was available for $100. Now, I'm from India. I will never spend $100 on a shirt. But in America, it's a good price. So people used to buy. But the power we had was we used to send two messages back. First message we used to send back is, we would ask them, did you like the shirt? And people would give us feedback. And we would take that feedback and take it further. But the second message we sent out was, we would send you an email and we would put 20 shirts on it. And we would tell you, rank the shirts. 1, 5, fantastic. And now what did we do? People would fill out that form. What do you think we're going to sell them next? All the 5s. Then we're going to sell them the 4s, the 3s. So you have to stay in touch with the customer that you're working. Now we took this even further, and I got a chance to work with a makeup company. And in the makeup company, what I learned is there's very, very high margin. However, they want you to try stuff. So again, I have a box going to your home. Can I send you a sample? But the way we used to do it is we used to ask the customer to choose 3 out of 10 samples. And oh my God, it was so hard for women to choose 3 out of 10. And when they would take ownership on that. But again, that part is very important. But let's switch this conversation to something boring for a minute. Boring is, let's say you're selling a telecommunications platform. Something that is not everyday. But really the magic there is 2 parts. Number one, do most people understand deeply technology? No. So it comes down to simplification. How can you simply explain what needs to be done? Okay? Tell my wife I listen to people. He said, stand here, and this is where I'm going to stand. So the whole idea again is you want to try and simplify as much as possible. And for example, if someone just bought a brand new security system or they bought a brand new phone system, it's going to take you at least 4, 5, 6 years to get them. But you need to stay in touch with them. If you're in the education business, you're selling education to people. Now, almost everybody knows that, oh yeah, if you study, you're going to do well. And the 3 subjects that many of us say are really good for studies are science, math, and communication. I'm not going to say English or Spanish, it's communication. Because I think we are reaching a level where maybe 5 years from now, language will not be that much of a barrier. The reason is, we have bots, chat bots, they translate. And I will tell you, I speak at conferences, and I have an accent, and if you spoke in America, you have an accent. When I stand on stage, I come up front, I apologize to you up front, but I say I'm going to make fun of you. And I make fun of you. And everybody laughs. And I say, you made fun of her, you made fun of her. But you know what? We speak 2 languages. We speak 3 languages. We speak 4 languages. There is power in that. But again, the future comes down to what we've got to do is those 3 things as far as education is concerned: science, math, and communication. But if you've got a kid for a year, the kid is not going to change their school. Again, you have to try to drive value. But what you're trying to do is you're telling the kid or the parents of the kid that, look, our program will take you there. It's aspirational. Like I talked about yesterday. Everybody wants to go there. They want to visualize that perfect stage. So you're looking at a mirror. It's the mirror where you want to be. How many of you know about Victoria's Secret? Okay. There are more men's hands that are going up, which is completely normal also. But you know, one interesting thing, if you think about Victoria's Secret, the brand has a perception of what a woman desires to be. And that's what they are trying to sell. And so the idea is you try to take it further. And if you think about it, you don't see women walking around with Victoria's Secret brand and their jeans hanging down, right? To show the logo. That's a big no-no. It's hidden. It's personal. So the key here is to remember, how do you become so important to that person that they remember who you are? I met a couple of ladies in this room. They work for a cybersecurity company. Cybersecurity is boring, right? But do you know how interesting it is? In one way, it's about hacks. It's about people targeting you. It's all these interesting stories. You know, there's a big scam that's, they were just busting in the US, where you go to a gas station, they make your card. They can clone your card from a gas pump. Then what they do is they go to an ATM machine and they start taking cash out. But the way they take cash out is, suppose you take out $200 or $500, you leave one bill inside, you don't take it all out. The machine sucks the bill back in and it reverses the transaction. So you have taken away $180 and you've given back 20, the bank is short the money. And this was a big cyber ring that was going on, and they were spreading this kind of stuff. Cybersecurity, I thought, personally, was a very boring subject. I did in the beginning, I promise you that. Telecommunications, I thought, was boring. But what I quickly learned is, if you can explain things in simple English or Spanish to the people, you raise the level of interest. And the one reason we're not targeted enough is because we're too small. But the problem is, if the hackers hit us, we're in big trouble. So this is one of those things you have to plan for the future. You basically have to make sure that things are moving in the right direction. Now, is there any financial institution here? Any bank or credit union in the audience? Nobody? Okay. Does everybody here have a checking account? A bank account? Okay. What is a check? Right? Where is a check going to be 5 years from now? It's going to be finished, right? So I challenge a banker, I challenge many bankers to tell me, what are you going to call it? If there are going to be no checks, why are you calling it a checking account? So the key comes back is, think of your bank. Your bank should be your financial advisor. Your credit union should be your financial advisor. They should tell you what to do. You shouldn't just have to go and talk to your parents and them giving you advice. You need it for every day. So when you think about rebranding, think about the brand rebranding because they are a consumer brand. It's simple. You can't do without a bank. So for example, if I work with a bank, my messages, if I'm the banker and I'm talking to my friend Ali here, what I'm basically going to do is, I want him to know that I'm his rich, smart, and reliable friend, uncle, cousin, brother, whatever that is. And that is the brand message that needs to come out. And if you take it further, what you want to do is you want to tell your customers, I am your supplier. I have everything. I have everything that you need. Number two, I am reliable. Day or night, you reach out to me, I'll take care of you. And the third one is, I am smart. I'll do everything in your best interest. What I'm going to do is, I will close in 3 or 4 minutes because the next speaker is about to come in. But I want to highlight two very important things here. Yesterday, I shared with you that I teach yoga. Right? I enjoy teaching yoga. In fact, I was going to do a stretch here, but we're going to do it on the main stage. And I might pick one volunteer from here to come on the stage over there. But if I teach yoga, I can only do so much. So my business strategy became that I want to help yoga teachers teach yoga to their customers. So I decided to develop my business that way. And I started putting together my value proposition. And again, my value proposition comes down to, why should you come here? I need to develop an elevator pitch, something that is simple. that says, this is going to make a difference in your life. Here's what you need to do. Here's how you market it. And what I'm doing right now is I'm working on that. So as I close, I will come back and tell you one simple thing. Whatever your brand, I talked about this one phrase yesterday. I said, we are people following a process to provide product to people for a purpose. Process is re-engineering. It's Samantha here who's developing restaurant software to make available. But the problem right now in the restaurant software is she's talking to people who are saying, I am used to doing it on paper. We have to drive that change. I spoke to a gentleman here, he owns a marketing consultancy, another one owns a marketing consultancy. You have to simplify the message for the consumer, and ultimately, whatever you do, your customer needs to believe that you are doing it in their best interest. And that is one of the biggest value propositions. The other speaker is almost ready. She's going to talk to you about LinkedIn a little more detail. But I made a suggestion to Danielle, who's part of, who Wally and Danielle put this event together. And I basically said that every quarter, every 3 months, I'll put together a webinar and I'll put it with some case studies of brands that are doing a good job. And I'll also tell you about brands that are doing a really, really bad job in terms of what you should and what you should not do. Thank you to so many of you. I apologize. I was not able to say thank you to you on LinkedIn. I will do that by Tuesday of next week when I fly back. But if we've not connected, let's do connect. And Paula, I'm ready for you whenever you are. Thank you. I'll start undressing now. Gracias.